Battalion K-2 prepares for assault. Before the personnel departed, UAV operators launched several FPV drones to reconnoiter enemy positions. Noticing the wounded soldier, the UAV operator eliminated the occupier with a precise grenade throw. Among the large number of fallen soldiers, the fighters of the K-2 battalion found 2 survivors who had pretended to be dead. The first grenade killed one occupier and fatally wounded another. One after another, grenades flew from the FPV drone at enemy soldiers, clearing the trenches for a further assault. Explosions rang out one after another, destroying enemy shelters. Step by step, Ukrainian defenders cleared the way for assault groups, rendering enemy positions unfit for defense. Soldiers from the Magyar Birds unit conducted reconnaissance using a strike FPV drone. Flying along the enemy trench on the right side, they spotted a fortification, which meant that enemy infantry was nearby. Flying a little further, Russian soldiers were spotted trying to hide from the drone under a tree. The UAV operator quickly directed the strike drone toward the enemy and eliminated 2 enemies with a direct hit. After the explosion, the enemy's ammunition began to detonate. After the assault, the surviving Russian soldiers returned to their positions, but on the way they were met by a Ukrainian reconnaissance FPV drone. Noticing it, Russian soldiers ran away, frantically looking for some kind of cover. Their chaotic movements betrayed their fear. Eventually, they decided to hide in tall green grass, hoping that the drone would lose track of them. But the drone's camera continued to accurately record their every move. After receiving the exact coordinates of 2 Russian soldiers, Ukrainian fighters prepared an FPV strike drone. In a moment, it rose into the sky and headed straight for the patch of tall grass where the occupiers were hiding. The drone inexorably closed in on its target. Making its way through tall grass, the drone spotted the silhouette of a man lying down, hoping to avoid collision, but in just a few seconds, the drone hit and destroyed its first enemy. Remembering his second companion, Ukrainian operators noticed that the grass nearby was trampled. Zooming in with the camera, the soldiers noticed the silhouette of the second partner, who was also trying to hide from the drone. In just a few minutes, the soldiers of the Magyar unit destroyed 2 occupiers, who were left lying in the middle of tall green grass. In a tense and emotionally charged episode, a Russian soldier races across Ukrainian terrain, desperately trying to escape the approaching FPV drone. Spotting the drone, he instinctively hides behind a tree, darting left and right in a frantic attempt to confuse the operator. But drones do not tire, lose focus, or hesitate. As exhaustion sets in, his movements slow. That moment of weakness proves fatal. The drone closes in and delivers a precise strike, ending the chase with chilling inevitability. A fellow soldier tries to pull the wounded man out, dragging him several meters, but fear quickly overcomes duty. After taking just a few steps, he leaves the wounded man and runs away. The lone enemy crawls, trying to get up, but his strength fails him. The outcome of the battle was decided in the first few seconds. Lost in the middle of a green forest, a Russian soldier encountered an FPV drone belonging to the Ukrainian unit Magyar. Seeing the enemy's UAV, he tried to lie down among the tall green trees, but the camera of the Ukrainian drone was already closely watching his every move. When the Ukrainian drone flew closer, the Russian soldier still thought he had not been spotted, but he was mistaken. Just a few seconds later, the strike UAV fatally wounded the Russian soldier. A wounded Russian soldier, lying on the ground near Allied positions, saw an FPV drone and began begging his commander to evacuate him. But it was already too late. The attack drone was already heading for his soul. A column of Russian armored vehicles was moving toward Ukrainian positions, preparing for an assault. Suddenly, the first vehicle hit a mine. A powerful explosion shook the column. One of the Russian soldiers fell out of the first BMP. Realizing the danger, he ran away and begged them to stop over the radio. But the column continued moving, ignoring his cries. Only a few seconds later, the first BMP slowed down and finally stopped to pick up the straggler. But precious time had already been lost, and Ukrainian units used the pause to prepare a new drone strike. Boom! The first strike of the drone, right on the enemy's armored vehicle. A powerful explosion sends up clouds of smoke and instantly stops the armored vehicle. The Russian infantry panics and flees, returning along the same roads they came. But every meter of this route could be littered with mines. Every step becomes a new risk, not a guarantee of salvation. Enemy armored vehicles began to detonate, sending thick black smoke billowing into the air. The battlefield was engulfed in flames. The Ukrainian military continued the hunt and tracked down a damaged Russian BMP that had strayed from the convoy. Its coordinates were immediately transmitted, and within minutes the first drone struck the vehicle, from which a frightened soldier jumped out, engulfed in flames. He screamed and writhed in pain, trying to extinguish the flames on his body. The flames spread to his clothes and equipment, leaving thick smoke behind. The soldier fell to the ground, then got up again, trying in vain to extinguish the fire with his hands. Each movement became slower and slower. Everything around him pointed to the inevitable end of this battle. The main intelligence directorate of Ukraine hunts not only on the ground but also in the sky. Using special FPV drones and electronic warfare equipment, GUR soldiers detect and destroy Russian reconnaissance and strike drones. Each operation is carried out professionally and precisely. First, the target is tracked, then Ukrainian operators guide their drone to the optimal trajectory, and a precise strike stops the enemy aircraft in its tracks. This makes the Ukrainian sky increasingly safer for defenders and civilians alike. Even at night, Ukrainian military personnel use FPV drones equipped with night vision cameras to destroy Russian drones, thwarting the occupiers' plans. They keep a steady course behind the drone and destroy the UAV with professional movements.